Okay, a quick little video about my fleshing beam. As I had actually a couple different people that reached out to me that saw it like in a video or something. So let's talk real quickly about this fleshing beam. I've used all kinds of fleshing beams in the past. I've made my own fleshing beams out of logs and things like that, and those are great. I've built my own, platform, so to speak, for them out of 2x4s and whatever. And what I really did not want to do in this shop was to have something like that here, just because it takes up so much room. Even if I pushed it up against the wall, it still takes up room, way more room than what I'm using here. So I actually kind of broke down, and I ended up buying this actual beam and the kit itself from F&T Fur Harvesters. And I don't remember how expensive it was. It didn't seem like it was all that expensive. Maybe 35 bucks or something like that for the kit. And then the beam was, I don't even remember what that was. I'm thinking I got probably like 80 bucks in the whole thing, or less, 70 bucks. I don't remember for sure. But that's what I did. That's what I decided to do, just because I wanted something that I could mount into the wall so it would be sturdy, and I wanted something that all during the rest of the fur season was not going to be in my way. I mean, I use this back door all the time. I use my shop for all kinds of other things, and let's be honest, the fur season is, 3-4 months out of the year by the time you are done fleshing and stretching and all your fur. The rest of the time you're using your shop for other things, or at least I am. I guess if you had just a shed strictly for fur, that's one thing, but I don't. So this is the reason I went with this. I wanted something that I could mount to the wall, that I could store up on the wall and just be done with it, and out of the way and not take up a bunch of space. So that's why I went with this. I also obviously wanted to protect the walls a little bit. So I bought this board from Lowe's. If I remember right, it was like 12 bucks a sheet. And I had some that I was using on behind my skinning machine anyway, so I went ahead and just cut some pieces, mounted on the wall with screws. That way I can just pull the screws right out if these pieces get all grungy, and I could put brand new pieces up there and be good to go. So far I've fleshed here the entire season last year, and as you can see, they got a little grungy, but I'm kind of one of these clean kind of people, so I'm always cleaning up after I'm done fleshing and whatever. So far it really doesn't show any really signs of wear, so I'm thinking I can get several seasons out of just one of these little pieces of board that I put up there, and be really super easy. The other thing that I do that I don't have up right now is I have a piece of plywood that I cut, and it sits down in the bottom on the concrete, just so I can try to keep the gunk and stuff. And as you can see, you can kind of see the outline of where the piece of plywood is, and then right out here you can see that's just outside of the line of the piece of plywood that I have cut there. And you can see that fat and gunk and stuff has got on my concrete there and kind of left it a little bit stained. Probably need a larger piece of plywood, to be quite honest, but I thought that one that I had there would work. But in retrospect is probably need to be a little bit bigger. And then the other thing that I have there that I don't have in the shop here right now, but I keep in here all winter, is one of those small little trash can kind of like things, the small ones. I don't know what they are, maybe 20 gallons. I think that's what they are. It's got a lid on it, and I basically have that set up underneath my fleshing beam. So as I'm fleshing fat and flesh and muscle and gristle and everything off, it's sliding down the beam, and then it just falls into that bucket or that little small trash can. It's got a lid on it. I put the lid on it every 2 or 3 days. I throw it in the back of my side-by-side, and when I'm out checking the line, I'm dumping it somewhere in a ditch or something out in the woods, and I'm getting rid of all that gunk, and that helps to keep everything clean and as pristine as possible. Again, I know I'm kind of one of those kinds of people, but I like everything to be clean and organized and et cetera, et cetera. So how this fleshing beam works is I got a little screw right here. I simply unhook it, take this little cable off, The beam itself just sits down. It's adjustable down here so that I can raise and lower the height on this depending upon your height. The system comes with directions, and when it tells you like how far up the wall you should put it, like how high and whatever. And that's clear. That's just like a generic thing. And so I was tinkering around before I really put it in the wall. I mean, it comes with everything you need. It comes with the bolts to go into the wall and all that kind of stuff. And I put it up there, and I thought that was a little bit short for me. So I went ahead and raised it 2 inches higher than whatever the recommended height was. And I don't remember what that height was. I'm thinking a couple feet, but I don't remember for sure. But I raised it 2 inches higher, and that just seemed to be better for me. I'm about 6'1", so I'm not super tall, but I like to, keep my back straight when I'm fleshing, and obviously I'm just fleshing, I'm not bending over and going all the way down. I'm fleshing just arm's length. I've learned that over the years. If you want to save your back, keep your back straight, flesh at arm's length, and then you move the pelt as you go, rather than bending over and pushing all the way down. That's a big no-no in the fleshing world, because eventually you're going to ruin your back doing that. So I found that keeping it at about this height works about perfect for me. The beam is just above my belt buckle, which enables me to, kind of put my weight up against it. I can get my stomach up against it. Help keeps the pelt on the board, and then I'm able to flesh and not bend my back over, keep my back straight. And it works really, really well. I have no complaints about the beam itself. It's a pretty good size, of course, depending on what fur you're taking. You might have a couple, 3 different beams, whether you're using a PVC pipe or a small little beam if you're catching critters like mink and things like that. But for what I'm doing, which is mostly coyotes, a few cats, a few coons, this beam is perfectly good for that. Then I went ahead and just hung my fleshing knife up here so I can just reach and get it at any point. And I wanted something that I could just easily put my fleshing knife in, so that way when I'm moving a pelt around, I'm flipping it around as I go. I just got a place that I can easily just throw my fleshing knife up there and then pull it out and keep going. Otherwise, you got this knife in your hand, you're trying to turn the pelt with one hand. What do you do with the knife? You set it down on the ground. I don't want to do that. So that's why I put that up there. And I use a Weeby fleshing knife is what I'm using. And so far I like it. It's pretty sharp, and we'll do another video about that at some point. But that's kind of the beam setup that I'm using. Pretty simple. Mount it into the wall, put the backer board back there to protect the wall. I put a piece of plywood down. I use my little trash can to keep everything nice and clean. And then of course at the end of my whatever I'm fleshing, I clean my beam off a little bit with just, paper towel and some water, and clean it up a little bit. Every now and then put some stuff on there for the wood to keep it moist. And that's it. Pretty short, easy, sweet, and simple. So hope that works. Hope that helps. And definitely throw some comments down there if there's something better to do. I'm not what I would consider a fur handling extraordinaire. Been doing it for a long time, but I'm always willing to learn tricks. So please throw them my way if you have some cool tricks that I need to learn or some things that I need to do differently. So hope that helps, and we'll talk to you guys soon.